Well, the Crown Vic still needs a lot of work. Still needs the ball joints up front, and I still have to swap the axles between the wrecked car and the and this one. And today I took it on its first domestic mission in the form of finally filling up the gas tank completely full with fresh gas. So now I got a full tank of fresh gas in here since at least March 2012, probably earlier than that, or longer ago than that. And also went to the grocery store and made use of the very large trunk that's in these cars and got a lot of groceries. And for some people watching, I'm focusing in on these items right here. You'll know what I'm about to be up to, and what's going to amount to be a few hours for me, but because this is a video, it'll be just a few seconds for you guys. But I'm going to go on a bike ride here pretty soon and take care of a few things, and be right back. Okay, now that the bike ride's over with and it's a little bit later and I've worked up quite an appetite, it's time to share with you guys what all these ingredients are going to be used for. And I got this inspiration from a fellow YouTube user. You may recognize him, uxwbill, and this is his channel. And I'm focusing on this particular video right here, making beer bread. His mom's actually making beer bread. And not having smell-o-vision, the best way I could think of to see what this actually tastes like is to try to go ahead and make it myself. And the recipe appears to be very easy. And this is a good channel. He's got just a variety of things. Anything from cooking to computers to cars, you name it, it's going to be on there. And while I watched the video, I went into Notepad and Windows and just jotted down what I thought the recipe would be. So I'll stop on that just for a second for you guys. And so we're going to need 3 cups of self-rising flour. I believe that's going to be regular flour with baking soda mixed in it. I think 3 tablespoons of sugar. Some butter to grease the pan with, and to also put on the top of the bread to make the bread brown. And I'm using the real stuff, sweet cream butter, a little bit of salt in there. If you're going to do something like this, go all the way. And this video used a round, what looked like a pie pan or something like that. I don't have one of those. I'm just going to go ahead and use a non-stick bread loaf pan. And of course beer, because this is, after all, beer bread. And in the video they used Bud Light. I'm going to go ahead and use Corona Extra. That's not a light beer at all, so it should have more of a flavor for the bread. And they used Pillsbury brand flour, and I'm going to use this Martha White flour, which is the hot rise kind of flour you would use to make biscuits with. And I don't really do a lot of cooking. I have baked before, and so I figure I'd give this a try. And any chance I can get to use power tools, I'm not going to pass up the opportunity. So let me go ahead and get these ingredients all prepared and start the mixing. Okay, I've measured everything out. I've got my 3 cups of self-rising flour, 3 tablespoons of sugar, and the Corona Extra beer. And I'm not sure how important this is, but I let this beer sit out, so it's basically at room temperature. So it's probably a good idea to have all the ingredients at the same temperature when you add them in. So now it's time to go ahead and start adding everything to the mixing bowl. And here we go with our sugar. And most importantly, the beer. I'm going to try to pour it in slowly so I don't get a whole lot of fizzing going on. Alright. I'm going to use this particular attachment to mix everything together. See if I can do this with one hand. And we'll lower it down, lock it in place, and we'll start off on the low side here, just to knock out some of those bubbles. I'm going to go ahead and let this thing mix up and scrape down the sides of the mixing bowl, and almost be ready to add the batter to the pan. Okay, now that the mixing's done, here's what it looks like. That's the consistency that you should get. And these mix masters do a really good job, but it's always a good idea to take a utensil like this and just scrape down the sides and kind of get down into the middle of this with your scraper, because a lot of times the beater thing doesn't do a 100% job on here, but it is a good labor saver. And I've got the pan all greased up. I probably didn't have to do that because it's a non-stick pan, but the butter might actually add some flavor to the bread and make it kind of crispy on the outside. And then I've got the other half cup of melted butter sitting right here that I'm going to put on the top of the bread before it goes in the oven. So now we're at the point of just transferring this stuff to the bowl. This thing just twists like this, and we turn it over and just let it pour out. I'm not sure how much this makes, so I don't know if I'll have too much or not enough. Hopefully it'll just be enough for one loaf. This smells good already. I think this is going to be a really tasty bread that I've never had before. Just want to get every last bit. It's pretty gooey. Alright, that should do it. I think this is actually going to end up being just right for the pan. And now we'll go ahead and add our butter. And I'm going to use a brush just so I can attempt to get a even distribution. I'm not sure how this is going to work out, if at all. Just kind of dab it on there. What you got to do is do this several times during the baking process. Okay, I think that's good enough. I don't think the video mentioned temperature, but I'm going to go ahead and put it on bake for 375. And I just added the third cup of butter, the first one. So we'll go ahead and bake that for 40 minutes. Just try to stick that in the middle there. And set our timer. Exactly 40 minutes. And then after that, we'll add some more butter in 10-minute intervals So the entire baking process is going to take about an hour. And taking a tip from the video, I'm going to go ahead and put the partially melted butter on the stovetop here and let the rest of that melt. If it doesn't melt all the way, I'll just go ahead and use the microwave like I did before. And in about an hour we'll have beer bread. But that also gives me... So while the beer bread is baking, I'm going to go ahead and make some dinner, and I'm going to cook up some burgers here. I've got 4 all beef patties that are 85% fat, or I'm sorry, 85% beef. And I've already liberally seasoned them with the Lowery seasoned salt. This stuff makes the burgers taste really good. And then I've got over here some frozen crinkle fries that I'm going to go ahead and fry up in the deep fryer. So let me get these outside in the grill and I'll be right back. Okay, got the grill going on, nice and hot. I like to use basically a medium heat. And got the seasoned burgers already. And we'll go ahead and add these guys in. Smells good already. It's a nice cool day out here today. It's probably maybe 70 degrees. Good day to cook like this. I'm going to go ahead and shut the lid. And I'll add more seasoning salt as they cook. And in a few minutes you'll see the finished product. Okay, now that the burgers are done, got one over here on the bun, and I like these kinds of buns that have the sauteed onions all over them. So the burger's all ready, and now it's time to go ahead and drop the fries. I love crinkle fries. I'm going to let these cook for about maybe 5 minutes and they'll be ready to eat. Okay, fries are basically done, and I've learned from doing this that basically when it's not quite as fizzy as it was when it first started in the video, it basically means that the fries are done and there are just a little hints of brown in certain spots there. So these little guys are ready to come out. Just kind of shake off most of the grease and everything as best you can. And then we'll come over here to a towel and dump them on the towel. Put the basket back and turn off the fryer. Yeah, they look like they're a nice golden brown. Set them over here, and while they're still hot, I'm going to go ahead and put some Bojangles French fry seasoning on here from the Bojangles chicken restaurant. It's basically a Cajun seasoning. And it says to put that on liberally, which I'm basically doing now. Alright, so now I got hamburgers and french fries. And there was one more thing I need. And that's a Jarritos pineapple soda. I'm going to go ahead and pour that into this little plastic cup here. And enjoy myself some dinner. I've still got about maybe 8 minutes left on the bread there. And that's after the first 40 minutes. I'll take it out, put some more of the butter on there and bake it for another 10 minutes. But before I do that, it's time to eat some French fries. Well guys, this is the finished product. It's finally done. It's been about an hour. And I used up almost all of the butter, and it melted quite nicely just sitting on the stove. So that was a good tip from the video. I'm going to go ahead and let this thing cool down, and then I'll be able to take it out of the pan and have a piece. The lighting here is terrible. It's getting kind of dark outside. But here's what the another view of what the finished product looks like now that it's out of the pan. It's got a nice golden brown crust on the outside of it from the butter. And the top of it looks really good too. And the whole house just smells really nice. I've never had this kind of bread before, so it's going to be interesting to see what it tastes like. Cutting off a piece is going to require 2 hands. So let me cut off a slice there and see how this thing tastes. Well, there's the inside of it, and the best way I can describe it is it sort of has the consistency of nice fresh hot cornbread. This is kind of a dense bread. So let's see what it tastes like finally. That's really good. It's a flavor I've never had before. You can definitely taste the beer in it. Of course, all the alcohol burns away. It's kind of a nice sweet flavor. Very, very good bread. I think I might make this thing again. It's even better when it's hot. Pretty crunchy on the bottom. Definitely not your typical bread. Very much like cornbread, but a very unique flavor I haven't experienced before. And I'm glad I did. uxwbill says in his video description that this is a bread that almost anybody can make. And I figure since I don't really cook all that much, I give it a shot. If I can make this bread, anybody can. As you saw in the video, both mine and his, it's very easy to make. And from the taste of it, very well worth the effort. You can do some different things with the recipe, I guess. You can use a little bit of brown sugar, or maybe sugar in the raw. You might be able to try some different beers, maybe some darker beers, and see what it tastes like. And just like in his video, add some cheese in there. I didn't add the cheese this time. I might do that next time. But I got a loaf of bread here that's going to last me quite some time, maybe even the rest of the upcoming week. And it'll probably reheat pretty good in the microwave, I imagine. So definitely well worth the effort. I'm glad I found that recipe on YouTube, and I hope you guys get inspired and make something like this and give this beer bread a try.